First of all, let me join the members in the Senate in expressing the view, very strong view, that this motion is not about the person and conduct and ability of Senator Kithure Kindiki in the House. I think if there's anybody who came to that conclusion, then they are arguing the wrong motion. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, I am one of the last persons, and there are many senators who were with me that fateful evening. I think Senator Mora was there, where we were looking for a pathway. We didn't want to go through this process. We were looking for a pathway of how to resolve this matter. And we were up at night until about 1 a.m. in the morning. I had the privilege of talking to Senator Kindiki, the Deputy Speaker, looking for a way out of this quagmire. Because as it has been said, this matter has been brought by a coalition, the Jubilee coalition. It's not been brought by the NASA coalition. And Mr. Speaker, that being the case, and Mr. Speaker, you know this, and Senator Kithure Kindiki knows this, that when this House congregated for the first time for the election of the Speaker, or the Deputy Speaker, or the leadership of the House, everything depended on the decisions of the political parties. Senator Olekina Ledama, a very qualified senator, he ran for the office of the Deputy Speaker. We could not marshal enough numbers. It was a question of competence. It was a question of numbers. That is how, at the end, Mr. Speaker, sir, you were elected as Speaker of the Senate, and Senator Kindiki was elected as the Deputy Speaker. And I have all my respect for Senator Kindiki. I've been with him in court, addressed the court in my presence. I've read some of his works. But at the end of the day, the Constitution of Kenya says Kenya will be a multi-party democracy. The centrality of the party in our democracy cannot be gainsaid. And you can go through a lot of provisions of the Constitution. The President of the Republic of Kenya was sponsored by a political party. Not just 2 or 3 members of that party. He had to secure, I think, more than 2,000 signatures of party members, not registered voters. People who are registered voters, and they're also party members. So as we debate this matter, let's place the truth where it lies. And before I go to the reasons that I wanted to advance on this particular motion, there are 2 issues that I want to bring to the attention of the House. First is that the distinguished senator for Bungoma has sent me a message. It is on my phone, and he says he supports the position taken by the minority coalition, that is the NASA coalition, on this matter. And our position is very well known. Mr. Speaker, just look at what, or hear those words Olekina has spoken in this august chamber in relation to his party. Imagine Senator Kindiki on Tuesday after the meeting made such an announcement, and I'm loyal to my party, Jubilee. What a difference it would have made. But I know that he would find it very difficult to utter those words. And I know there are many people on the side opposite who would find it very difficult to utter those words, those magic words. And therefore, this matter is not as easy as it looks. And there's a poet that I also, today people are citing the Bible poets, philosophers. Let me cite one of my most favorite poets and playwright, T.S. Eliot. In fact, T.S. Eliot is regarded as the greatest poet and playwright of the 20th century. and got a Nobel Peace Prize for literature. And he said this in one of his works: the last temptation is the greatest treason. To do the right thing or to do the right deed for the wrong reason. You do the right deed, but you do it for the wrong reason. Why am I saying this? Mr. Speaker, the problem in this matter is not even Senator Kithure Kindiki. And we have said this before in this House. And if it is a matter who stands on matters of principle, I have heard some state senators here talking about issues of principle, or yesteryear fighters for democracy. Mr. Speaker, if you look at motions and bills which have come in this Senate, the last Senate, and this Senate, and look at how we have voted, those who are today talking about democracy, if I take every bill, in fact, I collected many of the bills that were passed in the last Senate and this Senate, the security law amendment bills, the election law amendment bills, the issue of Ruaraka land. How did they vote on that day? How did they vote on that day? They talk about democracy everywhere until they lose their positions. How strange is that? On matters of principle. And I agree, on matters of principle, you can judge me 100 times, but when it comes on a matter of principle, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that I will never change. I'll never change. These are all politics of power. There are no politics of principle here. It's all about power. And why do I say so? The meeting that was held in State House, just look at the people who attended and those who did not attend. It tells a story. It tells a story. And that is the story that we must be told. Why did some people attend and others did not attend? It was not an accident that some people attended and some did not attend. It was choreographed and planned. I'm glad to hear that. And planned. And if you have read the classics, I read a lot of classics. There was one time a triumvirate in Rome consisting of Julius Caesar and somebody called Crassus and Pompey. You know, when you have three generals controlling a republic, it willy-nilly becomes dysfunctional. Until Julius Caesar had to come the dictator, the absolute dictator. Pompey was killed in Egypt. Crassus, who was the richest of them, was murdered. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya today, we have a Rasputin who is occupying a political position. And that is Rasputin, we are giving him an AK-47. There's a Rasputin in the Republic. And that Rasputin has many messengers in this house. And the problem is that Rasputin was the greatest defender of the Tsar of Russia. Very close to the family, very close to the wife.
What's your point of order, Senator Ochila Yako?
Mr. Speaker, normally a curious student of knowledge, if there is the agents of Rasputin in this house, would I kindly ask my leader to name a few of them so that I avoid them like plague?
No, Senator, proceed. I don't think.
I know you know them. You are just being a little bit clever by half. You know, the problem with this man, Rasputin, he died. He died. But after he died, what happened to the Tsar of Russia? History will tell. History will tell. The Jubilee parties should sit together as to whether you're going to obey the Tsar or you're going to obey Rasputin. That's when this problem is going to end. You cannot have an army with two field marshals. This is what is happening. And is causing havoc to this country. There's a time, Mr. Speaker, I said on the floor of this House that Jubilee is dysfunctional. And we want a party that is functional, a party that is in government. So we are coming together as Republicans, as Kenyans, to ensure that the 2 years that Jubilee has, you can at least do something with it. These things you are talking about, COVID, and I hear Senator Cheriot coming here, is now the greatest campaigner for the rights of the people. But look at the motions we brought here. I can challenge Senator for Kericho or how he has voted in the past on matters that concern the people. So I am pleading that Senator Kithure Kindiki, this is probably not quite your day. Not quite your day. But I think you did the right deed for the wrong reason. For the wrong reason. For the wrong reason. And that's why you are here being, the center of this motion, when I know that really you should not be at the center of this motion. But you did a wrong deed, a right deed, for the wrong reason, because that reason did not relate to the commander of your party, and in addressing the agenda that he had agreed that should be addressed to attain a one Kenya indivisible that can, in the end, be judged as a truly prosperous nation. And I want to say in the end this, these days, people talk politics like they are playing with toys. We have people here in this house who have been dragged out of this house and murdered. There are people who have been detained for 10 years. We are talking as if this Senate cannot have the same kind of people to sacrifice. And they shout the loudest out there about talking about the truth and justice. Justice, you can only talk about justice if the president is talking about fighting against corruption. You should be the loudest and saying that we are fighting against corruption. But what do we hear? That corruption is being politicized. Corruption is being politicized. Now, who is going to speak for the government in this house? And Mr. Speaker, therefore, I want to end by saying this, just to address finally some of the issues that Senator Murkomen was talking about. They are constitutional offices. If you to be recalled, if you are to be recalled, the Constitution says itself the manner in which you'll be recalled, and the manner in which the accusations against you must be addressed. In fact, if I may read, Parliament shall enact legislation to provide for the grounds on which a member may be recalled, so that a member of Parliament cannot be recalled without any grounds. So where the Constitution thinks that it is important to put out grounds, like when you are impeaching a judge of the High Court, or you are seeking the removal of the Director of Public Prosecution, or you are seeking to remove the Auditor General, you are required to state the grounds, and they must fall within the remit that is found in the Constitution. But when it comes to the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, there is no such requirements. Article 106, and if you may read it, the office of the Speaker or Deputy Speaker shall become vacant when a new House of Parliament first meets after an election. B, if the office holder as a member of the relevant House vacates office under Article 103. C, if the relevant House so resolves by resolution supported by the votes of at least two-thirds. So it says what you require is a resolution. And at the end of this debate, we are going to have a resolution. And therefore, Article 47 was not being well interpreted and constructed in the context of the Constitution. And the Constitution itself says And I'm glad about Senator Wambua when he said, when there are specific provisions of the Constitution relating to a particular circumstances, then you cannot fall on the general provisions of the Constitution. You follow the provisions that are set out in the Constitution, and they've been elaborated in the standing orders. And Mr. Speaker, on this question, one can go on and on and on. Now, this Parliament, I know, is going to be required to play a very critical role in the next 2 or 3 months. Because when there is constitution making, when there is reforms, Parliament must be at the center of it. And we must, as a Parliament, as a Senate, be together in this great quest to make Kenya a better country. And therefore, those who have decided, and they have those who believe in the course they have taken in trying to reform the country, and they need the support of institutions, including Parliament, they must be rest assured that you're having a reforming Parliament. And I disagree that this Senate can be described as a bad Senate. There's in British history, parliaments have been described in many ways, the bad parliament, the good parliament, and so on. But I think in this Senate, we have tried, and the greatest victory is this case that Senator Omugeni argued before the Supreme Court that clearly says the Senate has got a critical role to play in legislation, including the allocation of revenue and the processes that are set out in the Constitution. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I think Jubilee should go back, think very heavily, so that this matter is resolved. But from the language I had here today, Mr. Speaker, from the language I had here today, and Senator Kindiki, I think your case was made worse, because it was as if this case was against other forces who are not here in this House. There was attack and attack and attack against officers that are not involved in this debate. And when people say that Kenya is already a dictatorship and they elect to remain in that same government, remain in that same party, I think there is no honesty and people are not being candid. I think if you think that Kenya should move forward in the path of democracy, then let us work together to make Kenya a better country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support the motion.